Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing something a little different, which is talking about what is Krita. If you've been here on my channel for the past year, you know that I only use Krita, well, for drawing at least, and I make a lot of how-to videos for it. I teach you how to use it and show how I use it and all that good stuff. But I've noticed, based on some comments, that people might have a misunderstanding of what the program really is and what it's capable of doing. So for a new user coming into this, you might be frustrated that, like, why can't Krita do this? Well, why can't Krita do that? I thought this was a replacement for that program. So I figured I'd make a video introducing you to what Krita is and what it isn't. So to get it out of the way, I'm going to go over what Krita is not. Okay? Krita is not Photoshop. It's not a Photoshop replacement. It could be later down the line, but at this time, it's not. If you want something to replace Photoshop and have a lot of photo editing capabilities, you're going to want to use GIMP, okay? GIMP is much easier to work with images. It has more filters and better color adjustment tools, at least in my opinion. And if you're used to what Photoshop can do with that, then you're probably going to like GIMP a lot better. Okay? So if you come in and you say, well, where's my clone tool? Where's this tool? This isn't Photoshop. Alright, and Krita is not Illustrator. If you want something to do text and vector-based images or whatever the heck it is, use Inkscape. Now if you're going to say, well, Krita can do vector shapes and Krita can do text. That is true. But they're very basic features in Krita, and that's okay. I don't mind that. But if you're coming in and saying, oh, I heard Krita can do vector-based stuff, and then you're like, well, where are all my tools? Where are all these features? Why can't I put text on a stroke? Why can't I put text on a sphere? What's going on? Krita doesn't have that capability right now. At some point, you could put text in the path, but they took it out because they updated the text feature, and it was buggy. Maybe later down the line they will, but at this time, to my knowledge, you cannot. So if you want to do stuff like that, you're going to want to use Inkscape. Maybe I'll do a video on that, I'm not sure, because I personally don't like the interface for that program. It's just very not intuitive, in my opinion. But maybe I will anyway, and you can watch me suffer. That's fine. So if you want to do vector-based stuff, if you want a complete Illustrator replacement for free, your best bet is going to be Inkscape. And what Krita isn't is a large company or a business. They're not going to have people in call centers waiting for you to call and say, I need help with this, or anything like that. They're a team of people who are volunteering. They're a team of people who are really running off of donations. They don't have an influx of money coming in. So that really does affect how quickly things get changed. And they're very transparent about this. If they need to fix a feature, or they have a lot of bugs they need to address and they need money, they're going to tell you guys, hey, we need donations for this, and here's our campaign for that. They do run campaigns. I think they've done one at least once a year to fund this stuff. The last one was the Summer of Bugs, where they raised a lot of money. You gave them as much money as you wanted, or how little you wanted, and then you picked what category of bugs that was going to go towards. And one of those categories was text, which unfortunately didn't make as much as other categories. It doesn't mean they're not going to fix anything or add any new features, it just means it's not going to get prioritized. And honestly, that's okay. What they're doing is they're making Krita based on their community input, which a large company isn't really going to do. We all know that large companies today tend to have a very large disconnect with their consumer base. And I think a lot of that's starting to change, but across the board, from what I've seen, it's very disconnected. But I also have seen some positive changes from large companies where they're like, okay, let's take a step back and listen to these people and make changes to our software based on that input. But that's neither here nor there. And Krita is not perfect. It is far from perfect. Obviously, if it was perfect, they wouldn't be having a campaign to get money to fix bugs. There are quite a number of things in Krita that do bother me. If I do any free transforming multiple times in a row, like I can move this, enter, and then I'll do it again, you can see there's a delay from me being able to free transform it, and it especially does that when I'm switching between layers. It's annoying and it frustrates me, but it's not enough to prohibit me from completely getting the job done. I'd rather have a free program where I have to spend an extra couple seconds just, to get something doing what I want it to do than pay $600 for that same problem in a program that I shouldn't have that issue with, if that makes sense. It's almost like you get what you pay for type thing, except I don't want to say that Krita has problems because it's free. It's just they haven't addressed those issues yet. But a lot of these things are being worked on in the background. So, now that we know what Krita isn't, let's go to what it is. If you're trying to figure out what program Krita can be compared to, or what it's replacing, in my personal opinion, it's more of a comparable piece of software to Corel Painter. And I think that it replaces Corel Painter a lot better than anything I've seen. And the reason for that is because Corel Painter is first and foremost an illustration program. It was made for people who use a lot of traditional media like gouache, acrylic, watercolor, oils, stuff like that. It was made for people like that. So a lot of their brushes would mimic all that stuff. It had watercolor paper modes and all this crazy stuff. It was meant for people who would draw. Okay? Krita is like that to some extent. It has brushes that do mimic that. Not as many, but they're there. It's first and foremost an illustration program to me because of how it's used. Everything in here is based around drawing, or based around creating images. I mean, look at all the dockers. Animation, obviously based on drawing, even though it's not illustration, it's still your drawing. You have a comics manager, which is all illustration. You have compositions to change things. You have grids and guides. You can make your perspective grids and stuff, which is based on illustration. You have your custom color palettes you can do, patterns, all that stuff. To me, this is stuff I would see in Corel Painter a lot. And the reason I stopped using it isn't because I hated the program. I do like Corel Painter. It's just because it's money out of my pocket that I just don't have. I don't have an extra couple $100 to shell out every time they have an update, because I don't want to keep using a piece of software that's going to be outdated within a couple years, or that has a new feature that I want in the next update, but I can't afford it right away. So Krita gives me the freedom to have similar features to a program I really liked, and being updated on a consistent basis, I would say almost once a month, to fix bugs or to add something new in. So I'm not missing out on anything new or whatever. Okay? So obviously that brings me to my next point, number 2, is that it's free. They do have a desktop version, which is $10, which you can get on the Microsoft App Store or on Steam, which I believe means you get automatic updates. It's optional. It's 100% optional. It's just another way of donating money to them. You don't have to do it. You don't. Okay? You don't. And the third is that it's open source, meaning it is built by the community. It is being donated by the community, or being funded by the community. Volunteers are helping to fix bugs and add in new features and all this stuff. The comics manager was made by someone who did comics. And I have a video on that too. So if you're an illustrator and you know a little bit of code and you have a feature that you've been trying out on your own time to put into Krita, you can submit that to be in the traditional downloaded package you get with this, And that's what open source means. You're not going to be sitting here like, well, I made this cool script for Photoshop or Illustrator, but they're not going to implement it because it has to go through a lot of red tape. But I'll put it online for people to download for free, or after like a purchase or something, whatever you want. And that's great, but the frustrating thing about adding on scripts is eventually you're downloading so many scripts, you have to wonder, why am I having this community make features for me on the software I paid hundreds of dollars for? And that's frustrating. So Krita being open source really gives input from everybody. It's not going to say, well, that's a great feature that you added or you scripted yourself, but we're going to have to say to share it on your own terms because we just don't have time to deal with it. They're obviously have to test it and make sure it's not going to break anything, but you have a higher chance of making this program better with your script or whatever it is that you're doing than you would with an actual company that you're paying money for a program. Not saying it doesn't happen, it's just not going to be like their primary goal is to look at stuff like that, So that's just how I see it. I'm sure there's other people that might have different opinions or whatever, and that's fine. Okay, that's fine. You don't have to agree with me. It's just from what I've used, this is my experience, and this is how I see Krita and why I have a lot of good things to say about it. Okay, so here are my 5 reasons for using it. Like it just said, it's open source, it's built by the community, it's funded by everyone, me, by you, whenever we give, or whoever gives money to it. I do the basic features in Krita. They're right there. They're not difficult to use. They're not difficult to learn. And if you're familiar with Photoshop or Illustrator or Corel Painter, you already have the basics down that you can apply that to Krita. So if you bring in a photo into Krita, like, oh, well, I want to change the color, I know that's going to be under filter. Now in GIMP, it's under image properties? Something different, I don't know. But regardless, you're going to look under filter for any edits you want to do to your image, okay? If you're in Illustrator, you know that your Bezier tool is going to be for your vector stuff, alright? And you're going to know the basics of how to use the Bezier tool. It's going to have anchors, you're going to have to rotate them, move them around, so on and so forth. You're going to have that basic information in your head already to apply to Krita. And that's great. That's how a program should be. You should be able to take knowledge from one program and to apply it to another if it's a similar program. And number 3, if you are moving from Photoshop to Krita, but you like your Photoshop brushes, you can take them with you. I think that's a really important thing because there are hundreds, if not thousands and thousands and thousands of Photoshop brush packs all over the web. Whether they're free, you have to pay for them, you made them yourself. You can use those in Krita now. I mean, I think you've always have been, but you can use those in Krita. So that makes that transition from one program to another a lot easier. Maybe not so much with importing them, because that's a little wonky, but you're taking a piece of familiarity with you into a new program. And I think that's a little comforting, knowing you can do that. And number 4, it has the animation and comic capabilities, which is really important for independent creators. If you want to do animation or you want to make your own comics, but you're starting off, like I said, if you're, actually I don't know if I said this. I think I did. I don't know. If I didn't, whatever. If you're in high school and you're starting off, and you're like, yeah, I want to try animation. Yeah, your parents might be able to get you, Toon Boom or whatever other paid software for you, like for Christmas or your birthday, but then it's like, well, we have to wait for it, and by then you don't know if you're going to be interested still. Because when you're at that age, you're still trying to figure things out. So this is a free program, and even if you don't have a tablet yet, you can still mess with the features just fine, And I think that for young creators, this is really important. You are being given the chance to try something out with very minimal restriction, And if you, even if you're not a young artist, if you are kind of down on money right now, which a lot of people are, I don't want to say every artist is a starving artist, but at some point you're always going to run into that, money's a little tight right now, I need to find a way to cut back on costs for the work I do. This is a good alternative for either an in-between while you're transitioning to jobs or whatever it is. This is a good alternative, and I think there's enough basics here to get you started and not really ruin your workflow or how you do things. There's enough here to work with. And obviously the last reason why I think you should use it is because it's free, which obviously I've said like 50 million times by now, but that is a huge deal. I am a huge advocate for free software. I am not a rich person. I don't have thousands and thousands of dollars to just go buy whatever software I want to try out. It's just not happening. I would say almost 90% of the software I use is free. I only pay for, I guess, I'll just say 70% of what I use is free software. Just because there are 3 pieces of software that I have paid for. One is Maya, but the light version because it's cheaper. 2 is ZBrush for my digital sculpting, and 3 is PDF Sam, which is a cheaper alternative to Adobe Acrobat because I need to merge my PDFs together and make files for print and everything. Excuse me, and I can't justify paying an Adobe Acrobat price. The PDF Sam was on sale for like $30, so I bought it. So yeah. So I would say, yeah. So just because something is free doesn't mean it's not worth having. It doesn't mean that you should look down upon it. In fact, I was at a conference this past September and someone was using a program called Alchemy to do all their concept work. And I'll even link to his presentation. It's a 3D presentation, so if you don't like 3D, don't worry about it. But it's almost interesting because people who think free is bad think that using free software gives you poor quality and poor output. But when you see this guy's work about how he does his concept images to translate into 3D art, you're gonna sit there and be like, oh my god, it's freaking fantastic. It's just, it was a creature and it was just the coolest thing in the world. Alright? Just because it's free doesn't mean it's bad, and doesn't mean the work that comes out of it is bad. We're seeing a lot of changes in the industry for that. Another example, I'm sorry, I know this isn't Krita again, but another example is Blender, which is a 3D program. It's being used in movies, it's being used in television now, it's being used in the main industry. Maybe not as heavily as other softwares that you have to pay for, but it's powerful enough that a studio can sit down and say, we need to use this program for this feature. Okay, and that's nothing but a win-win for them because they're saving money and it does exactly what they need it to do. It does suck for the companies that do need to make that money, but sometimes these companies just, like I said, they don't listen to what you need, and when the free open source place does, you're gonna go there, even if it's just for that one feature. So yeah, that's kind of my little rant, I guess, on what Krita is and why I recommend it. And I don't want this to be like, I don't think Krita's perfect, because like I said, it's not perfect. It has a lot of bugs, there's a lot of things in it that annoy me, but it's not enough that it hinders my ability to do what I need to do. I've actually started using it for more than I ever thought I would, just because of their recent update as well, and because I'm like, there's no reason for me to go anywhere else. So yeah. If this is, like I said, this is a little ranty, I'm sorry, but I need to get this off my chest because it's a little frustrating seeing people ask the same thing over and over. Well, Krita sucks because it can't do this and because it can't do that. Well, maybe this isn't the program that's supposed to do that, Maybe because it's not what you think it is. So, yeah. But if you do try the program and it doesn't work out for you, that's 100% okay. Go back to what does work for you. Maybe I'll make a video one day listing all the open source software. That way you guys have choices to choose from and it's not just, oh, well, here's Krita, Because there are other drawing programs out there that are free. Some are web-based, meaning you don't have to download software. Some are still, you can download and take with you. There is one software that's made by Autodesk that is free, and I think it's still available for the desktop. And I'll add that in as well, and maybe we'll just spend like a day going over all this crazy free software, because it's fun. You know, I really do advocate for going out and trying those new softwares that are free. I mean, what are you gonna lose? It's just time. And, you know, I'd rather waste like an hour of my life trying out something new than wasting hundreds of dollars trying something new and not having it be there for me, you know. And I know there's free trials and stuff, and that's great. But a 14-day trial really doesn't give you enough time to get to know the program, especially when you have other things going on in your life, like a job, you know. I can't sit here for 8 hours a day trying out a free program. I need to work and make the money. Alright, if you have any questions, or you want to share your thoughts on what Krita is and how you view it and how it has helped you, or maybe even issues that it hasn't helped you, you know, that's totally fine to share as well. Definitely let me know in the comments below. I'd really love to hear that, because if you're having a problem with Krita and you're under the assumption it's not doing something you want it to do, maybe there is a feature that you didn't know about, or maybe it just can't do it. And I think it's good to know what it can't do. It helps bolster its growth, it helps its future, and it also lets other people know, so they don't have to sit there and go, well, why can't I do this, or what can it not do, or whatever. And that's okay. You know, it's not like saying this program is evil or whatever. It's okay to be honest and say, hey, it can't do this, alright? It's just not working out. So yeah, if you do like this video and you want to support me, please donate to my coffee. It goes through PayPal, so it's not like a credit card type thing if you don't want to do that. It's a minimum of $3, which is the cost of the coffee. So if you don't need coffee today, but you want to spend $3, you can send it to me. I can use that to buy a new headset, or buy a microphone to improve my audio, so you guys can stop telling me that my audio sucks, because I'm aware that it does, but it's not as bad as some videos I have listened to, okay? It's not super bad. It's not great, but it's not super bad, alright? I'm trying. Doing the best that I can with what I've got. Alright, so I will end this video here, and I will see you guys in the next one.